In today's video, we will be talking about how a student can do inquiry and how a registration process is happened within the institute using the portal here. So as an admin or someone who's using or dealing with administrations, any kind of student inquiries has to be dealt with. So if we go, all the student related inquiries and registration process happen under menu, academics, and under applicants. So if you click on applicants here, you can see all the applications or the graphs and the inquiries and applications made in that particular academic year, kind of applications fees we collected, how many inquiries have done, the follow-ups we have done. All that information can be found in this particular graph, as well as status chart present up here. So that is how that is basically the applicant registration report. Portal will give you all the information related to the students. So the first options we should select is the inquiry option. So when we click on the inquiry option on the top right corner here, it will take you to a page where all the inquiries will be mentioned up here. So at the moment we haven't had any kind of inquiry, so we will be like setting up, we'll be showing how to set up, how to generate reports, how a new inquiry is made and everything. So before taking in any kind of inquiries from a new student, we should predefine certain settings before that. So there are three kind of settings within this inquiry module. One is inquiry settings, other one is form settings, and third one is active years and year. So by definition, the first thing we should do is define the active year. So I already have defined an active year, which is the current academic year. So I'm gonna, if you click here, you can select the academic year's present year. So I'm gonna choose the academic year, and I already have selected all the active classes within this year. So there's nothing present up here at the moment. But if so, I can see all the particular classes in that academic year. So I have selected all the batches in that particular academic year. So this is these are the batches in which this inquiry is open to at the moment, and student can inquire for this particular academic year for all these three batches. So that is the first settings we have to go through. Once the active academic year is preset, we will go into inquiry settings, basically to understand what and all we will be asking. How is a counselor is added, how what are the source of information, etc. So before that, we will just run through a certain form settings and then come back to inquiry settings. And so the form settings here, it's basically what we collect when a student come forward and inquire to join the institute. So it's just basic mandatory details. We are going to collect first name, phone number, email, date of birth. Those are all mandatory. So if you want to collect last name, address, etc., we can click on the field here. If you want to add any kind of new information, if you want any kind of new customer information, we can click on add new fields and we can type in the information here. You're gonna collect guardian details as well. So first name, relationship, etc. is mandatory. And if you want last name, email, mobile number, you can click on here and it will be like a mandatory field while we're collecting. You can also add a counselor and a source of information. So we're gonna add that. You will see how these two information will be added in a later stage when a student in a real-time scenario. I will show you how a student is a counselor is added into students and what are the different source of informations available. So this is a basic outline of what and all information the institute collect when a student inquire to join that particular institute. Once Once custom inquiry form is completed or the form setting is completed, we will jump right into the inquiry settings. So inquiry settings is basically there's three particular stages in inquiry settings. It's like whenever we collect student information and when we process that information, it will be going from collection stage to qualified stage. So within qualified stage, we can subdivide qualified stage into different categories. For example, we can verify the information the student provided. If a student requires contact or counseling, etc., we can provide that in order to provide information about the course structure, etc. So all these certain stages we can define up here. So I have already created two stages up here, basically verification and conduct and counseling. So we have created stages here. Now we want people in order to process that. So we are going to add counselors. So counselors can be academics, non-academic people within the institute, or from an outside source as well. So if I go, so for example, I have created Thomas Matthew here. I'm just going to delete it. I will show you how to add this again. So I'm going to add this particular counselor. I'm going to say he's an academic. So I can see all these particular counselors which are available. So I'm going to choose one particular academic counselor. They're going to see if this particular counselor is added, a particular teacher is added as a counselor. So he will be in charge of dealing with all the inquiries that that will be coming into the institute. We can also add outside counselors or outside agents. There will be different kind of student agencies working outside, which basically give guidelines to students about careers and everything. So we can choose certain outside agents which the institute works with. We can collect their name, the mobile number and email, and we can assign them as well in order to deal with any kind of inquiries the student raise when they want to join the institute. So that is how we add counselors into the mix, and how a counselor deals with all the informations. So once we added a counselor, or once we add a set of counselors, we need to find out where the source of information is from, how the student get to know about the institute or the structure or etc. So I have added different type of source of information such as advertising the institute made. Is it through the friends? Is it through the pamphlets available? Is it through Facebook and social networking? Is it through newspapers? So we can add different types of source here. This will allow the institute to get a better picture of where the source of inquiries are from, how many sources per inquiries, etc. For the future aspects in order to advertise and everything. This will help the institute to get a better picture of where the most number of student inquiries are coming from, etc. So once information is collected, once that information is predefined, we will go back to the settings. So all the inquiry related settings are now predefined. So now we have to add a new inquiry. So I'm going to click on add a new inquiry. So it's basically like a student calling in and inquiring about a particular class. I'm going to see, we can select the inquiry for this particular academic year, and it's going to be for this particular year group. And this is the date in which the inquiry is made. So I'm gonna make certain student inquiries in real life scenario in order to show you how it's done. So this is called Ronnie is calling in. Ronnie is calling in. So gonna make a certain address here, downtown 7 the numbers appear, and we need to collect his email ID as well. So all these are mandatory fields in order to process certain information. This is just basic information we're collecting of the student in order to process the inquiries. So we're just going to collect his date of birth as well. So just going to predefine a number here. Yeah. So once all this information is collected, applicant is created successfully. So the applicant is created successfully, as you can see. So a new inquiry has been raised by an individual called Ronnie Isaac. So the next important feature is when you click on Ronnie Isaac's profile here, you can see all the information up here. And now we have to add a counselor and a source of info. So we're going to add a counselor up here. And I'm going to choose a counselor, say Harry is going to deal with Ronnie Isaac's informations. I'm going to say source of information is from Facebook. So he was approached into the university by seeing a Facebook ad or something like that. So all his profile is now set up. So once we collect all this information, we just click on qualify to take it to the next stage. So I'm going to click on qualify here, and this particular applicant is now moved to the qualified field. So once we run through and see all this information are the right order, there's nothing left out. Once we verify the email, phone number, once we assign counselor and source of information, we can qualify and this move into the qualified field. So this particular applicant is no longer present in the new application field. He will be present in the qualified field. So you can actually see he is under the qualified field here, and Harry is gonna deal with his counseling thing. So Harry is gonna make certain notes up here. So for example, there's different stages in qualified stage. For example, verifications. Harry is gonna say I'll verified. So it's gonna leave in certain notes here, and he's gonna move on to the next stage called contact and counseling. Contact the individual. Certain information will give anyone who's coming in and using the system a better understanding of what's happening and everything around. So once this process is saved, we can select if that particular individual is going to go into the next stage. So we're just going to run through and see everything. So there's one notes here, all this information is correct, up and running, and we're going to process it. So click on process, and this application is now moved into the process field. So if you look here, the application is no longer in the qualified field. We have to go into the process field. So this particular individual, Ronnie Isaac, has been inquired for year 3, and they will be given a certain URL. This is a URL which the Ronnie is going to use in order to register, in order to give all the information related to his previous school details, or any kind of forms or any kind of notes he have to save, and he have to give to the university. So all these kind of informations will be can be done through here. So I'm just going to copy this in order to see in real time what Ronnie is going to see. I'm going to Google, and we are going to paste this, and this will take you to the applications field. So this is basically all the information the institute is collecting in order to process with the registration. So if there is any kind of phase, I'm just going to make this application as like a free. If there is any kind of amount defined here, they will be prompted to pay that particular amount for the application registration. So all this information is now collected, and once they process this information, it will go to the, this is basically the registration field where they're collecting all these details. So I'm gonna add in his dad's name, just to see, like, I'm not going to add in all the details here, but just basic information in order to start running with the registration. Yeah, so this is the registration field up here. He can edit it, discard the application, and once Ronnie click on submit application, this will basically, if the application is thank you for registering, your application has been successfully provided to the university or the institute. So you can see the status is pending here. So how so if you click on here and see the status under addresses, you can see it's pending here. And if it was rejected, this will be coming up under here. So that is basically enquiry module. It's basically enquiry, and it's set up set up a individual in order to register what kind of information we collect. All those things is what enquiry module does. So once we go into application, and we can see there's 2 enquiries now made, 2 applicants now made admissions. We are not going to create any kind of admissions up here at the moment. So the next step we are going to move into is registration module. So like I said, Ronnie have made up Ronnie have provided all his information, so he have submitted the registration. So all the kind of registrations you can see up under here, all the pending registration and every kind of registration made into the university we can see up here. So I'm gonna say applicant name, I'm gonna click here, and I can see all the details of Tony here. So before going into registration, I'm gonna run you through how to set up a registration settings. It's important we set up a registration year settings because we need an active academic year in order to run through all the details. Active year. If you click on active year in years, we have to make sure registration year is linked to an active academic year. So we click here, and if we can link the academic year. We can choose the classes under that particular academic year. We can choose all the classes under that particular academic year, and this will come up here. Just like we did in inquiries, we have to do this in registration as well. So once active years is predefined, once that is set up, we will go back into different settings up here. So the first settings is gonna show you registry your settings. Just be if by default or the academic year we select will come up here. We can see if it's a general setting, so if it's a year specific setting. So I'm gonna go with general settings because just all the registration informations we're gonna collect will show up here. It's basically informational. Any information and the general guidelines we want to give to the candidates, we can put it up here. Any kind of instructions or specific here. So this all this information will be like showed up here, and once you save this information will be showing up for the candidate in terms of registration time. The next process is just customize form. So we saw what Ronnie was gonna see. We are gonna define up here what and all information the institute is going to collect in terms of registration. So at the time of registration, what and all information the new candidate or the student who want to join into the institute going to provide. So just we can collect, we can make it mandatory. Just all these informations we will be collecting. Any kind of elective fields if you want to choose, any kind of any previous institution details we want to choose up here. Guardian personal details, contact details, any kind of attachments we want to make in terms of the students' marks card or anything, transfer of certificates or anything of such we can attach here. Any kind of administrative sections we can add it up here. So we're going to save changes. It's basically outlining what and all information we're going to collect in terms of registration from the student in order to process and see we can make the application successful and enroll them into a particular year. So basically outlines all the information. So once that is predefined, we will go into notification sender. So notification sender is basically like notifying, if you want to notify the candidate about the stages of the registration. So whenever a new application is submitted, we can, if you click on enable here, whenever a new notification, so whenever an applicant is new application is submitted by the candidate, they will receive a notification. When the application is successful, should they receive a notification? So it can be either through SMS or email. SMS and email, we collect the phone number and email previously, so this will automatically be sent out to them if you click on enable up here. And daily digest is basically like a quick overview of what's happening to that application in a specific time we define in everyday scenario. So we're gonna say like you can enable this. You can say email. So every day at 2:24 a.m. they're gonna receive like a schedule digest saying like what's happening with applications and everything. So that is particular daily digest too, in terms of giving the candidate a better understanding of what is happening on the background. So we can enable it or disable it based on the needs of the institute. So that is what notification sender does. Once we set up a notification, we can manage pins as well. So manage pins is basically we create like a unique pin for each registered year, and applicants can use this pin. It is a verification method given out by the institute in order to verify the candidate. We can create a new pin here. We can select the academic year in which, and we can select when it is valid from. So I'm going to choose it's valid from September to October last. I'm going to name this pin for September, October. I'm going to create like a pin called verify. I'm going to choose all the academic active years in this particular academic year, which this pin will be active from. And if I'm going to click on save, I'm sorry, this is going to be the number should be like, so I'm going to choose like a pin number, like number of active. So this is like a pin count, basically saying like how many pins we can allot. So I'm going to say like 100. Yeah, let's say this. Just a little slow up here. Just waiting for my system to reload. Okay, just gonna create this once again. So valid from September 23 to October 31st. Name as pin for September, October. Pin count is 100. It's active. So this is like so I have created like a pin group here. So we can assign this. This is the different pin numbers, which is like it's like a verification number, which is given to a registered. So I have created 100 of these pin numbers. We can register this into different candidates, so they can use this as a verification method. So that is what pin number does. So all this has to be predefined before we going into the registration. So I have already predefined this previously, so I'm just gonna go end to end. Like I showed you previously, Ronnie has already done with his registration. Now it's the status is pending here. So if you click here, the Ronnie's profile, you can see all the informations we collected. We can verify the informations. We can update the status. The payment status is paid. Any kind of status we want, we can update up here. We can update status. When we click on update status, this will automatically be updated up here. We can allocate applicants, or we can discard if any kind of information is wrong. If we feel this application is not gonna be good enough for the institute, we can discard it and this application will be rejected. Or we can allocate the application. So I'm gonna allocate only to this particular year group, and I'm gonna allocate into this particular tuition fee group of 21-22. Now I'm gonna click on allocate. So this particular individual has now been allocated to the class of year 3 class B of 21-22. So this is basically like how registration and inquiry and everything goes in the background. So if you want any kind of reports in terms of all the inquiries that has been made, if you go into inquiries and if you click on reports here, we can generate council-wise reports, source report, year-wise report. So if I'm going to say council report, I can choose council-wise report. So there was like one inquiry made to Thomas. Yes, proceeded it. So this is like basic outlining, like what and all each counselor had done, how many inquiries they have dealt with. So this information can be found up here. So if you want source report, like for example, this particular academic year, all the inquiries that's been done come from Facebook. There's just two inquiries that both came from the same source. So all the source kind of information we can find under the source report, and we can collect the year-wise report as well. So if you go into year 3, there's 2 inquiries made, 2 has been processed, no rejection. So all this information can be covered. So all the reports regarding the inquiries can be found up here. So that is basically what happens in the application registration and inquiry reports, what happens in the background, how a new student can be added, what and all information we collected, how a notification is sent out, how a report is generated. So I hope everything, whoever is watching this video, I hope like everything is covered. So if there is anything you feel not understandable, just get back to me. Thank you.